we have talked over the last couple of seasons about one of the things that we've appreciated about Penny's growth is his ability to kind of walk through the drama before it starts, get through it, make decisions, make tough decisions, and move on. He did it with Tyreek. He did it with, some other players that will not be named. But with this PJ Haggerty situation, if the reports are true, PJ would have come back to Memphis if that offer, that guaranteed money that was offered earlier on, was still there, was still valid. If that was still on the table, he would have come back to Memphis. My question to you is, do you like the fact that Penny basically had said to PJ, if it's true, all these reports are true, thank you, but no thank you, we've moved on? Is that good to you?
Yeah, it sets a precedent. You have to. I mean, I hate to keep connecting this to a completely
Nico, I was
different
going to do the
sport,
same thing.
but it's the same. It's the same thing with Nico. Like we talked about it with Josh Heupel. Yes, maybe in the short term, in the next year, it's not the best move, but it sets a precedent for you cannot come here and hold this program and hold this team hostage. Like there's a certain way that we go about things, and there's a certain preparation towards the season that starts during the offseason, goes through the summer. And you can't come in and wreck that and ruin all that. It's just, you have to put your foot down to an extent, and you have to draw a hard line in the sand, or a hard line. And I feel like that's something that Penny has definitely learned over time, because I think there were times earlier in tenure at Memphis when he didn't draw that line, and things probably did go a little bit further than they should have, and they ruined team chemistry, and they ruin relationships between players and coaches, and players and players and coaches and coaches. And so I think he's seen that, he's learned from that. He's clearly grown in that area, and is not putting anybody bigger than the team. And I think that's extremely important.
I couldn't have said it better myself. If we get to the middle of conference season and they're a bubble team, we're going to say what we need to say. Oh, they should have got PJ in the offseason. Just like Tennessee fans will say, well, damn, they should have probably just paid Nico because Merklinger ain't doing it for us. Right. Like that's how these things ultimately progress. But here's what I would say. And I'm not saying Penny and PJ still have a fine relationship from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, Penny in this university showed the utmost amount of respect to PJ Haggerty for his time. They put out a very respectable offer, as high as they realistically could go. Yeah. I mean, $3 million is nothing to sneeze at. He's not even making that at Kansas State. But with all that respect that you divvy out, on the back end, PJ didn't quite respect your time. He didn't respect your offer enough to actually just take it. He went and tried to leverage it out to everybody else.
Right.
And eventually you just come to a point where, okay, if we're giving out all this respect, we have to have respect in return. And I don't know if they felt that reciprocal respect from maybe not PJ, but his family and the people behind the scenes that were helping him make decisions. And I have no issue with them drawing that line in the sand. Like I don't want to run my program this way. We want guys on campus early. We want to have our roster figured out. You're not quite respecting our time at this moment. If you don't want to come back, just don't come back. But eventually you have to stop giving us the runaround while you're flirting with everybody else.
Because what does that say to as a culture building part of the program? Like when you're trying to build culture, which is what Penny talks about all the time. You'll hear it on some podcasts that he's done with probably the greatest culture building coach of all time in college basketball. It's Kelvin Sampson.
Yep.
They talk about what culture building is. And it's so interesting to hear basically the ideas of respect and your yes being yes and your no being no. Yeah. Right. And so imagine what kind of message that sends as a program. If you are saying we are committing to you, Doug, right? Doug McDaniels, Sincere Parker, all these guys, we are committing to you, commit to us. But wait a second, there's this side piece over here that's been flirting with us for a long time, and now we're done with you.
Our ex
is flirting with us, and now we're gonna not take you, because that's what would have had to have happened
100%.
At some point, right?
It would say anybody can be bigger than the team if they're worth it. Because and I'm sure Penny had this thought as well, and I think it shows a lot of growth and maturity for him as a coach. Is like, if I bring him back, and we discussed this as well, if we bring him back, and piece this roster back together, who do we have to get rid of? Who stays? I just don't think that works. I think you've pissed so many people off at that point. You've burned so many bridges. You've shown that this player is bigger than the team. Then it's all for naught anyway.
Right.
Because I think you take a player like him, and it's like nobody wants to play with him. And it's not a knock on PJ Haggerty as a person. It's just a knock on the situation. As promises were made to us. This is the direction that we thought everything was going in, and then everything completely flips. And I think that sends the complete wrong message.
And here's the other thing, and this is why I respect Penny's decision and like that he made it the way he did, because he knows, just like we know, if you pull out of the PJ Haggerty sweepstakes, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Right, because you're not going to be as good next year, but at the same time, I got to respect myself enough. So like there's still going to be people on the other side saying it's stupid of him not to open it back up for PJ when PJ, potentially could have taken that $3 million and come back here. The team would have been better. But again, like he's got to make a tough decision on the fly.
Yeah.
You're not privy to the conversations they have every day. You're not privy to the conversations he's had with other guys he's brought in. So this was very much a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. But you know what Penny did? He looked at himself and said, I'm going to make this decision. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
And that decision was, we're done recruiting PJ. We have our backcourt and our team set. This is what we're rolling with.
Yeah.
So I respect that part of it very heavily. Because in the past, Penny has been a guy who could be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I'm glad that he picked the decision, decided it, and said, this is what I'm sticking to.
2021, Amani Bates going home
to
Michigan with a back injury and then not playing.
How about what's the big from 23-24? Jordan Brown.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
1 foot in, 1 foot out situations where it's like that does not breed confidence from your players in your program or confidence from the fan base.
In this situation, we grew up hearing all the time from our parents, right? 2 wrongs don't make a right. In this situation, 2 mismanagements don't make a management. Does that make sense? Like, PJ mismanaged. Penny, if you mismanage this situation and bring him back after all this nonsense has been going on,
doesn't make everything right.
It's not going to be successful. It won't end up going well, I don't think.
Right.
And so one mismanagement, we're not going to allow this mismanagement to dictate the culture and how we're trying to build our program. We're going to stand on what we stand on and move forward, even if that means that better player might not be back on our roster. But I love it, though, the response. You see Doug McDaniel's response on Instagram? Put a picture up of the Memphis Bridge. The Memphis Bridge is
right.
Schedule that game, please.
Yeah, and here is the thing, too. Like, what I just said, Penny knows what the response will be when PJ's not on this roster and they don't have as successful a season as they did last year in the out of conference.
Yeah.
He understands that. He still made that decision for the betterment of the greater good, the program, and stuck to it, which again, I implore people to look at his past with decisions like this.
Yeah.
And look at this situation and try and tell me there's no growth. Because that's a lot of growth. That is a complete 180 from how he used to operate this program.